Do you get easily gaslighted? In case we haven't met yet, I'm Jess. I'm the sole founder of Life and Confidence. And this is a common symptom of unresolved childhood traumas. Now, let me tell you why. When you get gaslighted, do you find it really hard to register if that person is telling you the truth? Do you struggle to see what is false information and what is reality? Do you buy into people's opinions and their stories and you get so sucked in that it becomes your reality or your way of thinking? It feels like you're caught up in a different realm. Do you struggle to form your own opinions or ideas? Do you struggle to use judgment wisely when it's needed? If you said yes to any of these things, this is linked with childhood trauma number 3, the humanitarian. And this is where the toddler has been suppressed by an overbearing parent, usually mother, but it can be father as well. So if you have very controlling parents that want you to operate and show up in a certain way, you have been conditioned and programmed at a very young age to be someone that you're not. This is where the people pleasing comes in, because your controlling parents have told you to always be polite and always smile. Now, this is very common in the Asian culture, especially the Japanese culture. And you can't tell if that person is actually genuine or not because of the cultural conditioning. And they struggle to express themselves authentically and fully because of this way of being. And so when you are suppressed, being suppressed of your emotions, suppressed of your thoughts, your ideas, your opinions, and your parents say, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, that's not the right thinking, then you question yourself. You find yourself in self-doubt and feeling highly insecure, not knowing how to form your own opinion and trusting it. And this is exactly what has happened for me. Now, it's taken me a long time to get to this point where I can finally use my judgment and sharpen it so I can see the truth in people's stories. Now, what do I mean by that? Being a trauma coach in childhood abuse, when I first started out as a life coach, it was very easy for me to get caught up in other people's stories and not seeing the truth or using my discernment wisely to see what's really going on with that person, and instead buying into the story. And when I'm able to process what was holding me back from seeing reality, I had to learn to stop seeing my mum through the lens of a false sense of love. Now, what does that mean? I loved my mum to the moon and back because of the abuse that she was experiencing with my father, domestic violence, and the cheating that was going on. And I was constantly taking her side because I had a relationship with her and not with my father. He never told me his side of the story. My mum would constantly tell me all of her problems and what she's going through with my father. And so that's all I know. And so I've been blindsided by this false sense of love that my mum is the victim and that I need to rescue her from evil, which is my father. And so I had a strong hatred towards my father that I transferred onto men, hating men and attracting toxic relationships because of this. Not being able to clear up my toxicity and trauma around this childhood memory that I had with my father, but also mother. Now, clearing trauma with my mother was the hardest because it wasn't so obvious. I was so gaslighted by her pain and story that I became like her. I choose to see my life through her lens of the world and not my own. And so childhood trauma number 3 is the toughest trauma to break because of this sense of gaslighting, being gaslighted by people. When you start to speak up for yourself, and then let's say your partner, a friend, a mentor tells you something else, and you buy into it, even though deep down you feel like that's not my truth, but you buy into it anyway because you don't trust yourself. Why? It comes back to being doubted by your parents, where they control you for you to act and behave a certain way, for you to be this good boy or good girl and not to be your authentic self. What are the lies, the beliefs that your parents have told you to be someone that you're not, to be someone that they want you to be, that isn't your true identity? And so how do we process this? How do we break this vicious cycle of being gaslighted by people or falling into the gaslighting? So first of all, we need to take personal responsibility that I am the one that is choosing to be gaslighted. That's right, you heard me correctly. I am the one who's choosing to be gaslighted. The reason why we need to use I statements is because we're taking personal responsibility for our unresolved childhood traumas. It's not our partner's fault, our mentor's fault, our colleague's fault, our client's fault that you are being gaslighted. They are just triggering that same experience that you haven't addressed yet. So that's step 1. Step 2, you need to work with someone who can successfully get you to the other side when it comes to gaslighting. How can you successfully process the emotions of guilt and people pleasing and rescuing? This is very important because gaslighting is an unresolved childhood trauma. It's a symptom of unresolved childhood trauma. And so as soon as you start working through this trauma layers and layers, and you're willing to look at it head on and not be in fear of it, this is where you can finally see yourself through a clear lens, not a clouded lens where you can't see yourself clearly, through insecurities and self-doubt, through a clear lens. And you can finally see who you are from a balanced perspective, not from a traumatic place where you just see your self-worth as absolute 0. Step 3 is, where are you not honoring your boundaries? How can you start recreating boundaries? So if people are crossing your boundaries, where are you not expressing your boundaries? And this is something that I always like to look into, to always improve myself with my boundaries and expressing myself even better. So if I notice that someone is breaking a commitment, then I would say something about that. Now, it's not about blaming the person, but also just give them the factual information. It's easy for us to blame the person. Hey, you said this, and now you're saying this. What's going on here? So now what I do is I would just say, look, I've noticed you advertised 1 week rent for $475 and you're telling me $555. What has changed? And when they said, come back to me and said, oh, it's $475 for a week, I just said, not interested. So that's how I've reclaimed my power back in that situation, because it's not about the price, it's about your consistency and integrity in your communication. That I'm more interested in that. And so a lot of people would buy into the price because they don't have that sense of self-worth, that boundary. If someone breaks a boundary, what are you going to do about it? How can you reinstate those boundaries and not fall for people constantly breaking your boundaries? It is the same thing when I have people asking me for a refund for my workshop. And there is no refunds for my workshop because that is the policy in any event that you enter. That once you commit, you're committed. And that the venue is paid for, the caterer is paid for. There is no refund for change of mind. Now that's breaking a business boundary for myself because I fully showed up for that person and they fully showed up at that point in time to fully commit to the workshop. And then as time goes on, things show up, they decide to change their mind. And for me, I'm not going to allow this to keep reoccurring. And I've learnt my lesson from that because of my people-pleasing behaviors to make people happy. But in reality, I'm actually reinforcing an old pattern inside of them that is not serving them and myself. And it's not honoring their healing journey as well if I keep offering refunds because they're not saying yes to themselves. So I hope this gives you clarity around gaslighting. And if you really struggle with this, then I invite you to come along and attend one of my workshops to start processing, moving those traumas that is showing up as a symptom for guilt and gaslighting and people pleasing and breaking your own boundaries because you don't honor your self-worth. So the upcoming events that I have is Transforming Trauma Weekend Workshop in Tokyo and in London, and we focus on clearing traumas that we've inherited from our ancestors, childhood. We go through the 5 types of childhood traumas, as in utero, as a baby, toddler, as a little boy or girl, and as a teenager and adult, and past life trauma clearing, body work, releasing trauma through the body, light language transmissions, gestalt therapy, and so much more. So if you are up for that experience, please click on the link below to learn more, to book your spot, or to book a free clarity call if this is right for you and if you require a payment plan. I am also running my conscious relationship workshop in Adelaide, and that's in South Australia. And this focuses more in how we can start to break away, recreating the dynamics of the avoidant and anxious relationships that we've been transferring on from our parents to our adult relationships. How can we start healing the wounded masculine and feminine into wholeness so we can find that balance in our dynamic within ourselves before engaging in a relationship of any kind? It doesn't have to necessarily be romantic, but it could also be work colleagues, it could be clients, it could be business partners, it could be family members. And that we will be sharing how the polarization of the feminine and masculine work in that dynamic, wounded and healed, as well as conscious communication, how to communicate consciously when you're getting triggered or something's just not in alignment. And we'll wrap it up with a healing love chamber. So if you are up for that experience, please click on the link below to learn more. And I am also running my past life trauma clearing circle, and this is an online ceremonial experience. If you can't join me face to face for my events because of location, then join me for my past life trauma clearing circle. It will help you to start shifting your karmic ties with people in this lifetime that hasn't been cleared or addressed in a previous lifetime. I will also give an astrological update in the full moon and also for the month ahead, and you will also receive a personalized card reading, a message how you can move forward with the situation. So you can click on the link below to learn more and to book your spot, and this is held on Zoom. And lastly, if you are also in Tokyo and you're not able to attend my Transforming Trauma Weekend Workshop, I am running a connection circle for conscious men and women with my beautiful beloved Rob, and we are coming together as facilitators to support and guide you in connecting with the masculine and feminine in a safe way, and how to start moving through any blockages that you have. So Rob will be guiding you into a meditation. He will be using Reiki, hands-on touch, and energetically, and I will be guiding you through the light language transmission and the tuning forks and sound therapy for that experience. And there will also be a communication piece and movement piece to creatively express your masculine and feminine. So that's in Setagaya, Tokyo, Japan, and the link is below if you'd like to learn more or to book a spot. So there you have it, my love. I really hope you got a lot from this video, and if you do, please subscribe to my YouTube channel so I can reach more people who are in need of this content. And give this video a like if you resonate with it, comment below, and share it with your loved ones who are in need of it. May this message serve you, and that you are not your trauma. You are the light that's in your heart.